Lara and Kira, two sisters from the distant planet Xander, were sent away because they asked too many questions about freedom and self-expression. Their people did not like that. So they were put on a ship and sent to a planet called Earth, known for being wild and chaotic. Their journey was long and silent. The sisters didn't talk much. They were both lost in their thoughts, wondering about Earth and what awaited them there. Finally, their ship entered Earth's atmosphere. The ride became bumpy, and the ship shook violently. Flames roared outside as the ship broke through the clouds, speeding towards the ground. The sisters held on tight, their eyes wide with fear. With a loud crash, their ship hit the ground, carving a long line in a grassy field near a big city. Smoke hissed from the ship's broken parts, and the hatch slowly opened. The sisters stepped out, blinking against the bright sunlight. Lara and Kira looked nothing like humans. They were tall, with shiny, smooth skin that glinted in the light. Their heads were bald, making their big bright eyes stand out even more. They wore suits that shimmered like metal, adjusting to the new air around them. People from nearby had seen the crash and came running to see. They formed a crowd around the crash site, staring in wonder and fear at the alien ship and its unusual passengers. Among the crowd was General Marcus Briggs, a man in charge of dealing with unusual events like this one. He pushed through the people, his face serious but curious. He stopped in front of the sisters, trying to seem calm. "Greetings," he said, his voice shaking a little. "I am General Marcus Briggs, representing the United Earth government. We mean no harm." Lara looked at him with narrow eyes. She didn't trust him or the gawking crowd. Their stares made her uncomfortable. Kira, on the other hand, stepped forward. She was always the more diplomatic one. "I am Kira, and this is my sister Lara," she replied smoothly. "We have been sent here as a punishment by our people, but perhaps in time, this might become a blessing." The general blinked, surprised by her calm words. He cleared his throat and nodded. "Welcome to Earth, then," he managed to say. "We will do our best to make you feel at home. Please, follow me. We have prepared a place for you to stay." The sisters exchanged a look. They were both nervous but realized they had no choice but to go with the general. As they followed him, they felt the eyes of the Earth people on them. It was clear they were far from home, in a world very different from their own. As they walked away from the crash site, the sisters felt a mix of fear and excitement. Earth was indeed primitive, but it also seemed full of possibilities. They wondered what kind of life awaited them here. Lara was skeptical. "Do you really think we can find a home here?" she whispered to Kira as they followed the general. Kira gave her a small smile. "We don't have much choice, do we? Let's see what this planet has to offer. Maybe, just maybe, we can find something good here." The general led them to a large vehicle, which took them to a facility set up for their arrival. It was a big building with many rooms, where they would live for now. The place was comfortable, with everything they might need, but it still felt like a cage to Lara. As they settled into their new home, the sisters looked out of the window at the sprawling city beyond. It was messy and loud, filled with strange sights and sounds, yet it pulsed with life and energy, something the controlled and orderly Xander never had. That night, as they lay in their new beds, the sisters listened to the distant sounds of the city. They were together, as always, but now in a new world. They felt small and alone, yet a part of them was excited about what was to come. As they drifted off to sleep, the same thought lingered in their minds. What adventures awaited them on this strange, wild planet called Earth? The next morning, they would start to find out. The sisters were about to discover the wonders and challenges of a world so different from their own. And who knows, maybe, just maybe, they would find something more. Something like the love the old vendor had hinted at, something that could fill the void they didn't even know they had. New discoveries. The morning sun shone brightly over the city, casting warm light into Lara and Kira's new room. The sisters had spent their first night on Earth, and despite the strange new environment, they found themselves eager to explore this world they were now part of. After a quick breakfast provided by their human hosts, the sisters were escorted by a couple of security officers to a nearby park. This was part of their introduction to Earth, as General Briggs had explained. They were to gradually learn about the planet and its inhabitants. As they walked through the park, Laura was immediately drawn to the vibrant colors of the flowers and the various artworks displayed along the paths. Sculptures of metal and stone depicted human figures and abstract forms. Laura touched the cool surface of a metal sculpture, fascinated by the emotional expression captured in the art. It was so different from the functional, uniform aesthetics of Xander. Here, each piece seemed to tell a story, full of passion and life. Kira, meanwhile, was captivated by the technology she saw. Even in the park, there were signs of human ingenuity. Drones flying overhead, taking pictures or carrying small packages, and people using handheld devices that displayed maps and information. Kira watched a young boy playing with a small robot that followed him around like a pet. She was amazed at how humans use technology not just for necessity but for fun and companionship. Their guide, a friendly woman named Dr. Emily, noticed Kira's interest and explained, "Humans love to innovate. We're always finding new ways to make life easier and more enjoyable. These gadgets are just one part of it." The sisters were slowly starting to appreciate the chaotic but charming nature of Earth. It was a place where freedom seemed to be a natural part of life, not something to be punished for. In the afternoon, General Briggs arranged for them to visit a local market. The market was a bustling hub of activity, with stalls selling everything from food to clothes to handmade crafts. The air was filled with the smells of spices and fresh produce, and the sounds of vendors calling out their wares. Lara and Kira wandered through the stalls, their senses overwhelmed by the variety of sights and sounds. Lara picked up a handcrafted necklace, admiring the intricate work. "Look at this, Kira," she said. "Even their crafts are full of life, so different from the uniformity back home." Kira nodded, her attention caught by a stall selling electronic devices. She chatted with the vendor, a young man who explained how each device worked. Kira was impressed by the creativity and resourcefulness of humans, making so much out of so little. As they explored further, they came across an old man selling jewelry. He had a kind face and a gentle smile. Seeing the sisters' interest in his wares, he struck up a conversation. "You're new around here, aren't you?" he asked. "Yes," Kira replied. "We're from far away. We're here to learn about Earth." The old man nodded sagely. "Earth is a good place to learn about life. And love," he added with a twinkle in his eye. Lara frowned slightly. "Love? We've heard of it, but it's not something we know much about." The old man chuckled. "Well, love is the greatest teacher you'll find on this planet. It's not just about romance. It's about connection, understanding, and opening your heart to others, even when it's hard." His words struck a chord with both sisters. They had been taught to suppress such feelings, to focus only on the collective good back on Xander. But here, it seemed, individual emotions were valued and celebrated. As they left the market, Lara and Kira felt a mix of excitement and confusion. The old man's words about love lingered in their minds. Could such a concept truly be powerful? They wondered what else they could learn on this vibrant planet. Back at their facility, as they settled down for the evening, the sisters discussed everything they had seen and learned. They talked about the art and the technology, the market, and the old man's words about love. "We have so much to learn here, Laura," Kira said thoughtfully. "Maybe, just maybe, we can find more than just a temporary home. Maybe we can find a place where we truly belong." Lara nodded, feeling a surprising sense of hope. "And perhaps," she added, "we might even learn what it means to love, in all its forms." As they went to sleep that night, the sisters felt more connected to Earth than they had expected. They were still aliens in a strange world, but now they were aliens on a journey of discovery, a journey that promised new insights and possibly new beginnings. Finding connection. As days turned into weeks, Lara and Kira began to feel more at ease on Earth. They were learning to navigate their new world, but more importantly, they were starting to form connections with some of the people they met. Among these were Jake and Alex, two soldiers assigned to their security detail. Initially just shadows in the background, the soldiers began to play a more significant role in the sisters' daily lives. One evening, the sisters were in their quarters, discussing their experiences on Earth. The conversation soon turned into a heated debate. Lara was frustrated, feeling the weight of their situation, while Kira tried to find positives in their new environment. "We are stuck here, Kira. We might never see Xander again," Lara exclaimed, her voice tinged with bitterness. Kira, ever the peacemaker, responded softly, "But think of all we've learned, Lara. This planet has so much beauty, and the people here, they have shown us kindness and curiosity, not just fear." Their voices rose, filled with emotion, attracting the attention of Jake and Alex, who were nearby. Concerned by the escalating argument, the soldiers hesitated at the door, unsure whether to intervene. The rules were clear. Fraternization with aliens was forbidden, and yet they felt a compelling urge to help. Finally, Alex knocked gently on the door. "Is everything okay in there?" he called. Lara opened the door, her expression stormy. "Yes, we are just having a discussion," she said sharply, her pride making her reluctant to admit any weakness. Seeing her distress, and despite Lara's brisk dismissal, Jake stepped forward. "We couldn't help but overhear. It sounds like you could use someone to talk to. We're here if you need us." Kira looked at Lara, then back at Jake and Alex, and nodded. "Thank you. Maybe it would be good to talk with someone else," she admitted. The four of them sat down together, the room filled with a tense but hopeful atmosphere. Lara and Kira shared their fears about being on Earth, about being cut off from their home and their people. Jake and Alex listened intently, their faces showing understanding and sympathy. As they talked, barriers began to break down. Jake, with his easy smile and open nature, shared stories from his own life, about the challenges and rewards of being a soldier. Alex, more reserved but equally thoughtful, talked about his fascination with alien cultures and his dreams of exploring the stars. The conversation shifted from formal to friendly. Laughter started to replace the tension, and the room felt warmer for it. They talked about everything from favorite foods to hopes for the future, discovering that despite their differences, they shared many common feelings and dreams. As the evening wore on, Lara and Kira realized that Jake and Alex were no longer just guards. They were becoming friends. The soldiers showed a genuine interest in the sisters' well-being, beyond their duty to watch over them. Kira, feeling a lightness she hadn't felt in a long time, shared her love for Earth's nature, something she never expected to find so captivating. Lara, too, began to open up about her appreciation for Earth's art and music, which she found deeply moving. Jake and Alex were fascinated by the sisters' perspectives. The more they learned about Xander and the reasons behind Lara and Kira's exile, the more they admired the sisters' courage and strength. As the night ended, they all agreed to meet like this more often. "It's good to talk," Jake said, smiling. "It makes this strange situation a little less daunting." Kira smiled back, feeling a warmth in her heart. "Yes, it does. Thank you for listening and for sharing," she said. Lara, who had been quieter, added, "I didn't think we could find friends here, but I'm glad we were wrong." As Jake and Alex left, they all felt a sense of camaraderie and understanding that hadn't been there before. The soldiers walked away talking quietly between themselves, reflecting on the unexpected friendship that was forming. In their room, Lara and Kira prepared for bed, both feeling more at peace than they had since their arrival. They had begun to see Earth not just as a place of exile, but as a place where they could grow, learn, and maybe even find happiness. That night, as they fell asleep, the sisters felt less like outcasts and more like part of a community. Their journey on Earth was proving to be more surprising and rewarding than they could have ever imagined. And deep down, they both harbored a hope that perhaps, in this new world, they could truly belong. Love and war. The days that followed brought an unexpected depth to the relationships between Lara, Kira, Jake, and Alex. The four of them spent more time together, sharing stories and exploring Earth. Lara and Kira were learning not just about this new world, but also about the value of true friendship and the beginnings of something even deeper. One peaceful morning was shattered by the sudden, urgent arrival of Xandarian forces. The soldiers from their home planet had come with one goal: to bring Lara and Kira back, viewing their growing bond with humans and their embrace of Earth's ideals as a dangerous defiance. The attack came without warning. A series of loud, terrifying noises echoed around the facility where Lara and Kira lived. Explosions lit up the sky as Xandarian ships descended, their intentions clear and deadly. Jake and Alex were with the sisters when the first ship landed. They looked at each other, realizing that the situation was dire. "We need to protect them," Alex said, his voice firm with resolve. Lara and Kira were frightened, but determined not to be taken away. "We won't go back," Lara declared, her voice strong. "We can't lose our freedom now, not when we've just started to understand what it means." The battle began as Xandarian warriors stormed the facility. Jake and Alex fought bravely, using their training to counter the advanced technology of the attackers. Lara and Kira, despite their initial lack of combat skills, quickly adapted, showing a surprising knack for strategy and resilience. As the fight intensified, the bond between the four friends proved to be their greatest strength. They moved with precision and care, covering each other's backs and communicating silently through glances and gestures. During a brief moment of respite behind some debris, Jake looked at Lara. "No matter what happens, we're in this together," he said, reaching out to squeeze her hand. Lara nodded, her eyes reflecting the fire of the battle, and something more: affection and gratitude. Similarly, Alex and Kira found themselves fighting side by side. Alex was amazed at Kira's quick thinking and her ability to adapt human technology to disrupt the Xandarian weaponry. "You're incredible," he whispered to her during a lull in the gunfire. Kira smiled briefly, her focus unbroken. "So are you. We'll get through this," she replied. The battle reached its climax as the friends faced a group of Xandarian elite warriors. It was a fierce confrontation, with both sides suffering losses. But with their determination and united front, Lara, Kira, Jake, and Alex pushed the enemy back, step by step. Finally, the tide turned. The Xandarians, realizing they were outmatched by the humans' unexpected resilience and the aliens' determination, began to retreat. As the last of the enemy ships fled, the sounds of battle faded, leaving behind only the heavy breaths of the weary but victorious group. They stood together among the ruins of the battlefield, their clothes torn and faces smudged with dirt and sweat. But in their eyes shone a light of victory and a bond that had been forged in the heat of battle, a bond of love and friendship that no force could break. "We did it," Lara said, her voice filled with wonder. "We really did it." "Yes, we did," Jake replied, pulling her into an embrace. Alex and Kira joined them, and the four friends held each other, their relief palpable. In the days that followed, the repercussions of the battle were felt across the globe. The Earth authorities, recognizing the courage and resolve of Lara and Kira, granted them asylum. They were no longer aliens on a strange planet. They were heroes who had defended their new home. Lara and Kira decided to stay on Earth, not just for safety, but because they had found something much more valuable than they had ever expected. They had found love, not just romantic love, but a deep, abiding connection that transcended worlds and species. Jake and Alex, for their part, were honored for their bravery and their role in defending the sisters. Their careers took on new dimensions as they became liaisons for human-alien relations, a job they accepted with pride. As peace returned, The four friends often looked back on the battle that had changed their lives. They knew that their journey together was just beginning, with many more adventures to come. But whatever challenges lay ahead, they were confident they could face them together. The story of Lara and Kira, Jake and Alex, two pairs of unlikely allies turned lifelong partners, spread far and wide. A tale of courage, friendship, and love that proved even the deepest divides could be bridged in the pursuit of a common cause. And on quiet evenings, as they watched the sunset from the earth they now all called home, they remembered the battle that had brought them together and the love that would keep them united forever.